You're about to preview an important law enforcement training program. The entire program is available by license only via our learning management system at lineofduty.com. For licensing and use information, email sales@lineofduty.com or call 800-462-5232. This month in The Line of Duty.
Archuleta got down on his knees and then his belly. One of the officers ran over to the Acura looking for a possible hostage. There was none. Seconds later, Archuleta is clearly in custody. On the ground, just a few feet away, is the gun authorities believe he stole from Deputy Kelly Clark and then used to shoot her execution style in the back of the head.
An arrest on a dusty road outside of Albuquerque. The man in custody had just killed a female Sierra County deputy who was transporting him. The fact is, this is an officer safety issue if ever there was one. Sad to say, but if Kelly Clark had been just a bit more vigilant that fateful day, today she would probably be alive.
And in backup, video, the pluses and minuses of videotape in law enforcement. Lessons learned by the officers involved in The Line of Duty.
It used to be that when people heard the name Truth or Consequences New Mexico, they thought of the popular radio and television program for which it was named. But now when many people hear that name, Truth or Consequences, they think of Deputy Kelly Clark, who was killed in the line of duty. Hello and welcome to In the Line of Duty. I'm Don Marsh.
And I'm Ron Barber. There were lessons learned in Deputy Clark's murder. Perhaps the most important is one every cop should never forget.
Hindsight is great, but the reality of it is you can move prisoners for years and years and years and never have any problems. But the first time you let your guard down, the first time you slack off on a search, the first time you don't ensure that those restraints fit properly, the first time you get sloppy in your work is when that individual may take that opportunity to react and take you out.
We've heard these sentiments 1,000 times, but they have special meaning in Sierra County, New Mexico, following Deputy Clark's murder. My partner Don Marsh spent time there finding out how she died and why law enforcement there will never take anything or anyone for granted again.
Truth or Consequences, New Mexico. Elevation 4,200 feet, population 7,500. It lies among desert and mountains between Albuquerque and Las Cruces. The town got its name as part of a national publicity stunt. The old Ralph Edwards radio and TV program was looking for a town to rename itself after the show. So Hot Springs, New Mexico became Truth or Consequences, better known as TRC. It made the headlines again when Deputy Clark was murdered. The town was devastated when she was killed, leaving a teenage daughter behind. Townsfolk built memorials to the slain 38-year-old deputy. She was an 8-year law enforcement veteran. The Sheriff's Department in Sierra County has its work cut out for it. 4,300 square miles to patrol, only 13 officers. Manpower has always been a problem, so when a two-bit car thief named Michael Archuleta was to be transported from TRC to Grants, New Mexico, some 4 hours away, Clark got the assignment. Manpower limitations meant she'd be on her own, though policy called for 2 deputies.
Anything over 4 hours one way, we would send 2 deputies. And that was, we tried to stay within those guidelines, but as any sheriff's department throughout the U.S. really, most of the time we're understaffed, undermanned, and so we have to use our resources the best that we can.
Besides, Archuleta was considered harmless. He had no background of violence. He was just a punk headed for another 2 months in jail A halfway house, then freedom. The risk factor was considered low.
There was no concern for officer safety. Of course, we should all be conscious of officer safety anyway, but it didn't fall into the means of feeling like that we needed to send 2 people because we just didn't feel like anything was going to happen.
Sierra County had no real transport policy at the time of the incident. Sheriff Byers was brand new to the job at the time of Clark's death. Transporting prisoners was his specialty, expertise he'd picked up during a stint with the U.S. Marshals Service. He realized there were some immediate things that he had to do.
One of the first things that we saw when we came in, or when I came in, the first couple of 2 or 3 days of just getting into office, we had did a schedule of transport, and the officer came back, and that prisoner was just simply handcuffed in the front. Had no leg irons, no belly chain. It was really kind of frightening to see that coming from the background of working with the Marshal Service and moving federal prisoners. So one thing that we did is we created that policy because they didn't really have a clear-cut policy as far as prisoner transport. And so we instilled the fact that from now on, no prisoner will be moved without proper restraints situated in the vehicle, sliding glass window locked, observation, and we've talked about these things in meetings, and so we wanted to instill a good practice in the officer for moving prisoners.
To view this entire law enforcement training course, email sales@lineofduty.com or call 800-462-5232. It is only available by license to law enforcement, criminal justice, military government, and educational institutions. Again, that's sales@lineofduty.com or 800-462-5232.